First of all, thank you for having me here. It is a great experience for me, especially after practically seeing after traveling in the south coast of the Iceland, seeing the melting of the glaciers in the practically. Now it shows the importance of this conference and this kind of activities. I'm Cihan from Turkey, but I do my PhD, pursuing my PhD in Poland, in the Poznan University of Life Sciences. My PhD is actually focused about the European Union project called EPART, pre-accession program to the European Union for Turkey. But today I'm going to talk about one of our articles that we published with my supervisor. And the title of the article is Multidimensional Assessment of Sustainable Development Index and Human Development Index in European Union countries using Topsis and Bilinear ordering. First of all, if you want to, after my description, hopefully if you are interested, you can just go and see the full article through the journal named International Journal for Economic Sciences. And the introduction. Our paper was focusing on the construction of the Sustainable Development Index, which I will call SDI, for EU countries, and integrating variables, as you know, economic, social, and environmental fits, and as well as United Nations Human Development Index. It is a secondary data I retrieved from the UN, widely recognized as a universal measurement of nations' development, and evaluates, as you know, 3 key dimensions such as health, knowledge, and standard of living. And SDI that we constructed offers a robust framework for measuring and comparing the sustainable development status of each country, while the Human Development Index provides a well-established measure for human development. And the aim was to determine how the HDI affects sustainable development in the countries. Specifically, it examines the relationship between the Human Development Index score. So the methodology was multi-criteria decision-making. Actually, I took course from my supervisor, then it took my interest. Then I just give a try to construct a synthetic measure for sustainable development. And it is developed using the Topsis procedure. The abbreviation stands for the technique for order of preference by similarity to ideal solution. And later on, to see it in the graphical base, we use the Bilinear ordering. A graphical representation is applied to position countries in the coordinate system with the coordinate scores, which I'm going to show in the next slides. And of course, there will be the correlation analysis, so that we use the Spearman rank correlation analysis. And after that, we remove some variables that we choose. Then after this, discovering the some multicollinearity, I will say. And here the first table, it is the stages of the procedure for the assessment of the both indexes. Actually, it is the stages for the Sustainable Development Index, but in the last 2 stages, including the human development. So in the Topsis, if you want to go check in detail of the formulas that we use, you can download the full report, as I stated. And briefly, first of all, selection of the variables in the 3 dimensions, then the identification of the extreme values before miniaturization of them, and converting decimilants to stimulants, because we expect Sustainable Development Index to be stimulant. So if variables were decimulant, so we converted them. And the normalization of the values, we used in here zero unitarization. Later on, a determination of the positive and negative ideal solutions, and calculation of the distance value from each solutions with Euclidean distance. And in the end, next step, construction of the synthetic measure index. To finalize, we just Bilinear ordering with the coordinate system. So the Bilinear ordering, to mention a bit more about that, it is done by positioning countries on a 2-dimensional plane. On the x-axis, there was human development index, and the y-axis, there is the human development index, in the x, the sustainable development one. And there are 4 quadrants, as you know, in the graph. And the results, to start the results, first of all, it was the year for 2021, and we retrieved the data for sustainable development from the Eurostat, and covering 27 EU countries, and a total of 18 sustainable development variables, but it was more than 22, but we reduced them after correlation analysis. to provide an index score based on their performance of each country and to construct a ranking. This is one of the most important result. And HDI, as I stated, it was secondary data from the United Nations Development Program. And the correlation analysis between two indexes with the Spearman, we can see that it was 0.85. And it is supported by the statistically significant p-value, which is 0.01. Here, the second table, name of the sustainable development variables and related sustainable development goals. I'm not going to read, of course, all of them, but mainly there are some variables such as economic ones, real GDP, euro per capita, and energy productivity, euro per kilogram, including some circular economy variables such as recycling rate of municipal waste, I would say, and including also corruption perception index, and so on. These were the results of the values that we have found for the synthetic measures of Sustainable Development Index. In the first column, there are the name of the countries, and second and third ones are the index scores of each country. In the second column, actually, it is our main result, which is the constructing of the Sustainable Development Index scores. And the fourth and fifth columns are the coordinates in the graph. How we calculated is that we found the median difference. To find the median difference, we subtracted from the synthetic measure index score with the average of the countries. And another results were the level of sustainable development. So in the next slide, I can show more. Here the typological classes of the EU countries by the Sustainable Development Index. There are 6 levels that we discovered. So the highest one is the highest, and we can say the lowest category in the low and relatively low classifications. And for example, countries like Denmark, Netherlands, and Sweden achieved high level of sustainable development, while some of the Balkanian countries like Bulgaria, Latvia, and Romania has the lowest value. And most of the countries located in the relatively high or medium-low classification. And the Human Development Index, it was secondary data. So, and all of the European countries has high human development. This figure, 4 quadrants that I mentioned for both indexes, and these are the located by the coordinate score by calculating the median difference that I explained. And in the top right, the first quadrant, we can see some Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Denmark, and as well as like Luxembourg, Belgium, and Austria, France, and Slovenia. In the second quadrant, which could be interesting because only a few countries located, and they achieved a positive human development index, but a negative sustainable development index. And the third quadrant, which could be the worst scenario for the countries that have both negative scores in terms of coordinate scores. And in here, just like in the typological classification, we can see Balkan countries, and even though Poland, some Baltic countries, including Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And for me here, it's blank maybe, but the most important result, because none of the countries located in this quadrant, it means you cannot achieve sustainable development without having high human development. So people are accepting to have some level of health, income, and then maybe think about sustainable development. And the conclusion, to summarize actually, geographical trends that Northern and Western European countries lead in the both index scores and showcasing a balanced approach, while the Eastern and Southern Europe countries greater challenges experiencing with lower scores in both dimensions. And as I explained, the fourth quadrant indicates none of the EU countries perform well in sustainability, but poorly in human development. And there are positive correlation between two indexes. And in the typological classification present a slide that I showed, many countries achieve high human development in EU. Sustainability performance shows significant variability. There were 6 categories, if you remember, in the Sustainable Development Index. So the last remarks could be EU countries with high human development but lagging in sustainability, such as Spain and Malta, should focus on integrating sustainable development goals into national strategies, because they perform a positive score in terms of human development, but negative in Sustainable Development Index. And thank you for listening.